Did Adam Smith really come up with the idea of free markets, or is there more to the story? Adam Smith is often credited with being the father of modern capitalism, and his book, The Wealth of Nations, is considered one of the foundational texts of economics. When we think about free markets, Adam Smith is usually the first person who comes to mind. And it's no surprise, given the significant impact his ideas have had on the world of economics. But have you ever stopped to think about whether Adam Smith actually invented the concept of free markets? When I first started learning about economics, I assumed that Adam Smith was the sole inventor of free markets. I mean, who hasn't heard of The Wealth of Nations and its influence on modern economic thought? But as I delved deeper into the subject, I began to realize that the story might not be that simple. In fact, the more I learned, the more I started to question whether Adam Smith really deserves all the credit. Ask most people about the history of free markets, and they'll tell you that Adam Smith came up with the idea in the 18th century. But what if I told you that the concept of free markets has a much richer and more complex history than that? What if Adam Smith was just one piece of a much larger puzzle? That's what I want to explore in this video. The notion that Adam Smith invented free markets is so deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness that it's hard to imagine a time when people didn't think of him as the father of modern capitalism. But, as we'll see, the idea of free markets has been around for much longer than that. So, let's take a step back and explore the common misconception that Adam Smith single-handedly created the concept of free markets. Where did this idea come from, and what's the real story behind the origins of free markets? The myth that Adam Smith invented free markets is so pervasive that it's hard to separate fact from fiction. But, as we'll see, the history of free markets is full of fascinating characters, unexpected twists and turns, and a whole lot of complexity. From ancient Greek philosophers to medieval Muslim scholars, the idea of free markets has been debated and refined over the centuries. And yet, despite this rich history, Adam Smith is usually the only name that gets mentioned. So, what exactly did Adam Smith contribute to the concept of free markets? Was he really the sole inventor, or did he build upon the ideas of others? The more I learned about the history of free markets, the more I realized that the story is much more nuanced than I initially thought. It's not just a simple matter of Adam Smith coming up with the idea and then writing about it in The Wealth of Nations. In fact, the idea of free markets has been around for thousands of years, with different cultures and civilizations contributing to its development in unique and significant ways. From the ancient Babylonians to the medieval school of Salamanca, the concept of free markets has been shaped by a diverse range of thinkers and economists. One of the most influential thinkers in the history of free markets is the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. In his work, Politics, Aristotle explores the concept of exchange and the role of markets in ancient Greek society. Fast forward to the medieval period, and we see the emergence of the School of Salamanca, a group of Spanish scholars who made significant contributions to the development of modern economic thought. One of the most important figures in the School of Salamanca is Juan de Mariana, a Jesuit priest who wrote extensively on the nature of money and the role of markets in society. Mariana's work had a profound impact on the development of modern economics, influencing thinkers such as Adam Smith himself. In fact, many of the ideas that Adam Smith wrote about in The Wealth of Nations were already being discussed by scholars in the 16th and 17th centuries. So, what does this mean for our understanding of Adam Smith's role in the history of free markets? One of the most significant challenges to the notion that Adam Smith invented free markets comes from the work of the French economist Richard Cantillon. Cantillon's book, Essay on the Nature of Trade in General, is considered one of the foundational texts of modern economics, and it predates The Wealth of Nations by more than 30 years. Cantillon's work is remarkable not only because of its influence on Adam Smith, but also because of its sophisticated understanding of market mechanisms and the role of entrepreneurship in economic life. In fact, many economic historians argue that Cantillon's work is far more nuanced and sophisticated than Adam Smith's, and that he deserves much more credit for shaping our modern understanding of free markets. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? Did Adam Smith really invent free markets, or is there more to the story? As we've seen, the history of free markets is complex, nuanced, and multifaceted. It's a story that involves a diverse range of thinkers, cultures, and civilizations, all contributing to our modern understanding of economic concepts. Adam Smith was a significant figure in this story, but he wasn't the sole inventor of free markets. Rather, he built upon the ideas of others, refining and popularizing the concept of free markets in a way that has had a lasting impact on modern economics. So, the next time someone tells you that Adam Smith invented free markets, you can set them straight. There's a whole lot more to the story, and it's a story that's worth exploring. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any thoughts on this topic, please leave them in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about economic theories and their impact on our world, be sure to check out our next video.